Hi there, welcome to Boxing Deep Dive. I'm Lyndon Hosking and great to have you along for another episode of Dream Fights. I'm here with my co-host, the one and only Grant Tassie Brown. How are you, mate?
Good, thanks, Lyndon.
Mate, this is probably my favourite time of the week when we get stuck into these shows. We've done the classic fights, of course, but I really love the Dream Fights element. It'd be nice to have maybe a couple other opinions, but I reckon we can maybe create either a little bit of controversy with our selections or get a few people on board anyway. Look, you can't please everyone. That's what I will say. We do cop a few comments and that from people that think we're full of shit. But rest assured, we do know what we're talking about to some extent, but everyone has a different opinion. And, that's what's great about these episodes. But it's a pretty entertaining, some of the comments we get, mate. More at me more than you, mate. No one would criticise you, of course. It's more so at me because I'm the one that normally,
Well, if you criticise me in boxing, you're a fucking dickhead because I know more than just about everyone in Australia and the world.
I feel the same a little bit. But
I'm playing. People are playing checkers. I'm playing chess. Boxing is all I know, and I'll go against anyone with my knowledge of boxing.
Yeah.
Anyone. Teddy Atlas, Freddie Roach, I don't care, Mike Tyson. I'll sit down and talk boxing, and I'll back myself with anyone. Little known Australia, easy work. Easy work.
Well, look, the good thing about these fights, it's all opinion anyway. So, whether you're an expert or a novice, it's just good to have
I don't
opinion.
know shit about boxing.
Mate, before we get on to this week's fight that you've chosen again, let's get on to the poll from last week's fight. It was, of course, Triple G against Nigel Benn. Not much love for the Dark Destroyer, I'm afraid. 86% for Golovkin, only 14% for Nigel Benn. Out of that 86% for Gennady Golovkin, I think nearly all of them had him by KO bar a few. So, which is what we probably thought anyway. I think we all thought it'd be an entertaining fight, but I think we thought that Triple G with that relentless pressure and that iron chin would eventually break Nigel Benn down. So that seemed to be the common thread anyway. So.
I think so, yeah.
All right, mate. As I said, it's on you this week, and I'm loving your selection. Who have you got?
Yeah, mate, it's Sugar Shane Mosley versus ERROL SPENCE. So you got a fighter from the not so long past against a current undefeated, undisputed champion. So we'd obviously have this at welterweight. So I think this is a pretty good fight. Speed and power.
Yeah. Oh, mate, it's a great selection. And when you said it the other day, I thought, geez, that is a really hard one to select. A little bit harder probably for Spence because I don't think obviously his career's not over yet, and he's still got a lot of time in his career to go. Whereas Shane, obviously, we've got all his career in the bank. So, but just on paper alone, it's a really interesting one. Speaking of Spence, we'll cover him first as far as his record goes there. At his current record, of course, he's still fighting. Hopefully he'll get that fight with Terence Crawford in the near future. 28-0 with 22 KOs. He's won the 3 world titles at welterweight, WBA, WBC and IBF from 2017 to only a couple of weeks ago. There's probably his biggest wins there. Chris Algieri in 2016, the 11th round KO of Cal Brook. Lamont Peterson, 7th round knockout, former world champion, of course. Mikey Garcia, shutout decision. Sean Porter, 12-round decision. Danny Garcia, also by decision. And, of course, his most recent fight, which was Yanis Ugis a couple of weeks ago, a 10th round knockout. So, mate, like a lot of the great welterweights of the past, the Leonard and Hearns and these types of guys, and the Mosleys, of course, just got the complete package as far as speed, power, skills, hasn't he?
Yeah, great amateur. Went to the 2012 London Olympics. He's a very complete fighter. He does it all. Very, very correct. All the guys on that list were all former world champions. He's unified the belts. There's only one more belt, and that's one Crawford's got. And that's the biggest fight in boxing. And, mate, look, he's does everything well. He goes to the body well. He's got good power. He's probably not the fastest like a Mosley, but he does everything right. He's got a presence about him. He's very neat, and I like his work ethic. He's a very, very good fighter. His current probably top 5, top 6 pound for pound in the world.
Yeah, the one thing I was thinking about Errol Spence when I was putting this together is that one thing, and it's probably to his credit, of course. One thing that I don't think we've seen through Spence through his career, though, as good as he's been, is the adversity factor. And as I said, it's a credit to him, to his skill that it hasn't got to that point. But I'd be really curious to see what will happen if he faces adversity, whether he's cut, whether he's knocked down, whether he's rocked. And we just haven't really seen that in his career, have we?
No, we haven't yet. No. I mean,
and that's the test of a fighter, isn't it? The greatness of a fighter is how they react. And that's probably the one, asterisk I've got beside Errol Spence.
Kell Brook gave him as good as he got early. Yeah. Kell Brook really, but he obviously had the broken audible bone before Golovkin, and then I think the opposite one happened against Spence. But I mean, I think he really gave him something to work on. Porter gave him some trouble. Garcia really didn't get out of first gear, and Mikey Garcia didn't really get out of first gear either. So he's pretty much dominated everyone he's fought.
Which is to his credit, of course.
Mate, you can only do what you can do, then, and you can only fight who they put in front of you,
Yeah.
And that's 100%.
And to some extent, Terence Crawford's the same. His counterpart in the welterweight division. He's probably similar, and that's probably what's so enticing about them fighting each other, is that neither one of them have had that much trouble throughout their career in all their fights. They've always been so dominant. So, and we're probably seeing a little bit of Shakur Stevenson now in Errol Spence, or vice versa as well. You can see that he's almost modelled his style off him as well. But you can just see there, he just makes all the fights look easy. You said he's not overly fast, he's not, but his timing always looks really good. He always beats him to the punch. He's always first to the punch. I don't know whether it's just been good matchmaking or whatever, but he just seems to always have his opponents covered.
100%, mate. 100%. He does indeed. I mean, he's just very look, he's a really good body puncher too. Like, he works the body really well. He's just so strong, and he's just one of the modern era, one of the great fighters. Floyd Mayweather, I said years ago, after sparring him, what a great talent he was.
Yeah, and obviously he's came back from his accident from a couple of years ago. Obviously that almost could have ended his career, and he came back, and I think he's had 3 fights, since then, and all quality fights, of course. So credit to him as well as far as his toughness goes. I was actually at this fight here where he fought Chris Van Heerden. That was on the Adonis Stevenson Tommy Carpentry fight. Yeah, Shannon O'Connell fought on the undercard of that one, and didn't even know Errol Spence was on the card until the night. I didn't really know much about Errol Spence at the time, and thought, geez, this kid can fight. And there he was in all his glory, just putting Chris Van Heerden to the sword. He did that night. So, and a lovely guy too. I met him after the fight and shook his hand, and that's my little claim to fame with Errol Spence. But mate, just to get back to his fight with Mosley, obviously without giving it away at the moment, as far as the speed and power goes, how do you think he actually compares to Shane Mosley?
I mean, speed is way in advantage of Shane Mosley. Mosley had a big right hand. He probably Spencer's the bigger man, because Mosley debuted at lightweight, and Mosley, one of the greatest lightweights ever, killed everyone at lightweight. Sort of skipped super lightweight, had 2 fights and fought De La Hoya. So, wins over De La Hoya twice for Mosley. Lost to Vernon Forrest and Winky Wright. Destroyed Antonio Margarito and Fernando Vargas twice. And definitely Spence would be in the fight. But Mosley's obviously a lot quicker out of the two. And like power, probably equal power. But I think Shane would land that right hand a bit more often than Spence would.
Well, speaking of Sugar Shane Mosley, here's his record. Finished with a 49-10 with 1 draw record, 41 KOs. the interesting thing with Shane Mosley is the 10 losses. I don't think you can actually, obviously, I mean, it makes his record probably not look as good as it was because during his career he was almost unstoppable. But you can see there, started with the IBF lightweight title back in '97 against Philip Holiday. Won the WBC welterweight title over De La Hoya, WBC super welterweight champion as well that same year, as well as the WBA junior middleweight title in 2003. WBA, actually, I think that might be a little bit wrong there. The WBC super welterweight champion was won when he won the WBA junior middleweight title against De La Hoya in the same fight in '03. So that's a mistake, so apologies for that. And of course, won the WBA welterweight title in 2009 over Antonio Margarito. We see there his biggest wins. Look, he's had a lot of massive fights. I'll just put his biggest wins there. Philip Holiday, the 2 fights with Oscar De La Hoya. Put our man Shannon Taylor in there in 2001. The 2 fights with Fernando Vargas, as I said, the fight with Antonio Margarito. Inducted into the International Boxing Hall of Fame in 2020. Now, he hasn't actually been officially inducted, Tassie, because that's what's getting done in June this year when I'm going to be over there, or next month it'll be. I'm going to be over there for his induction, so I can't wait for that. He was inducted 2 years ago, but of course, because of COVID, hasn't been able to be officially put into the Hall of Fame. So that's really good. So when putting this... when you're thinking about this fight, Tassie, what version of Mayweather, seeing fighting Mayweather there, of Mosley do you think was the better one? Lightweight or welterweight? Or maybe super lightweight that we never even seen him fight at?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's right. I mean, unbelievable. Look, if I'm comparing the best Mosley, I'll probably be saying lightweight because he was just a freak, destroyed everyone. Like, you got Duran and Whittaker, my 2 best lightweights ever, but Mosley's probably be in a conversation as well. But waterweight, he did beat De La Hoya at waterweight and light middleweight. Second one was probably a bit more controversial, a bit closer. The big win later on in his career destroyed Margarito. Margarito just beating Cotto and had everyone scared. Floyd Mayweather wasn't even going to Margarito. Wasn't enough money and risk and reward factor there. Probably a lightweight. I'll probably have to put Mosley in, but he holds his own with anyone at waterweight. He wasn't a bigger man, but he was speed and power. I don't know the 2 losses of Vernon Forrest. Vernon Forrest beat him as an amateur as well. It's funny. Vernon Forrest beat Mosley as an amateur and a pro. Mosley beat De La Hoya as an amateur and a pro. They were all in the same era.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Winky Wright was just a problem for anyone.
You can see him fighting there.
At light middleweight, Winky Wright gives anyone a tough night.
Yeah, he
does.
does.
Those long arms, southpaw. So, but yeah, Mosley's a good welterweight, and this would have been a great fight.
The only shame, I think, for me with Mosley's career is he was such a brilliant fighter right up to he fought Antonio Margarito. I mean, he was so dominant in that fight and really put a hit job on Margarito in that fight. Was so dominant, looked so great. He fought Mayweather after that, and we all know that he rocked Mayweather in that fight in the second round. But I think it was after that he didn't win another round after that, by the way. But I was at that fight plus when he fought Pacquiao, and I really just don't think he showed up to win. I know that's a really hard thing to say, and probably a similar thing when he fought Canelo. I mean, Canelo's a beast, of course, but I just couldn't get my head around. He was such a great fighter up till then, and then those top fights, it just almost like he didn't turn up to win, whether he thought his career was over by then or the fire in the belly was gone, but it just wasn't the same, Moses. And of course, we saw him fight Anthony Mundine here in Australia as well, which I wish hadn't have sort of happened because it really probably tarnished his legacy a little bit, I thought. And no disrespect, obviously, Anthony Mundine, of course, because you're going to fight who's in front of you. But I just thought, after that Margarito fight, that the fire in the belly was just well and truly gone. After that second round, he rocked Mayweather. It was almost like from that point on, he just was never the same.
Yeah, good point. I mean, here he is fighting Cotto. Now, this was an even fight. Yeah. He probably could have beat Cotto if he would have done a bit more.
Yep.
Mayweather, Mayweather gone, but didn't do much after that. Pacquiao, I don't think he turned up at all.
He didn't turn up at all from Pacquiao.
Canelo, young, strong,
Yeah.
versus a guy who was a bit past it. He was the gate. He didn't get stopped though. He was a
Yeah.
gatekeeper. He became a bit of a gatekeeper there.
Yeah. He did.
But a prime Mosley is trouble for anyone in any era.
Yeah. And, the thing is, the Mosley who fought Margarito up to that point, that was 2009. So that's probably the version of Mosley that we would probably be putting in with Spence. I would probably think around that time.
I was at this fight.
Oh, were you?
Mosley knocking out Mayorga.
Were you over there on holiday? Were you?
Yeah.
Or?
I took Lou Jackson to Canada to fight in the Multi Nations Cup.
Yep.
And we called into LA on the way. Justin Fortune give us tickets, and was that Home Depot, the depot.
Yep.
I think StubHub now in Carson City.
Yeah, been there a couple of times too. Yeah, it's a great venue. I didn't know that.
We went to the after party, and with Shane, because I look after Shane. I looked after Shane in Newcastle when Mundine fought Crazy Kim and Billy Dibb won the IBO title. He was in town for Billy Dibb, and I looked after him, and we hooked up in LA, and we went to the after party and spent some time with him.
Oh, that's awesome! Yeah, that's great. And I must admit, I never actually met him, but my first sort of time I come across Shane Mosley is back in the 1989 Junior World Championships. I didn't go, but I knew someone that did on that team with the Aussie team, and Justin Rousel actually fought Shane Mosley and got put out of the
he did
tournament by Shane Mosley. I remember seeing the photos, and I thought years later that he looked familiar. And of course, it was Shane Mosley. So I think he stopped Justin from memory. And you remember Justin as an amateur; he was brilliant. It could have been anything, and probably a little bit unlucky he didn't win a medal at the Olympics, Justin Rousel. But Shane Mosley gave him a nice little touch up back in the day. So that was the first sort of time I'd seen Shane Mosley, and I remembered him years later. So, mate, to the main part of the show, of course, is who wins and why. I'm going to let you go first since you chose it. Who wins and why between Errol Spence and Shane Mosley?
I think it's a great fight. I think it's very tactical early. They're both trying to establish their dominance on each other. Who's trying to center ring? I think Mosley is a bit faster. Starts down that right hand. He's right hand, left hook against southpaw. He's a good body puncher too, Mosley, as Spence is as well. I think it's sort of very competitive, but I think down the stretch, prime Mosley is a bit better, and I think he goes to a unanimous decision. Nothing major, probably 7-5, 8-4. I think Mosley is probably just a little bit more quicker, sharper, and fought the better opposition so far than Spence has.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree, mate. I think it wouldn't be an easy fight, no doubt about that, which is obviously why we've matched them up together. But I think I'm with you. I think Mosley is probably a little bit busier than Spence. I think he punches a little bit harder. I think he's a bit more solid in that. He just probably brings a little bit more to the fight for me. As I said, it was really hard. Probably couldn't judge Spence the way I would probably like, because, as I said during the video there, that we've never really seen Spence in a real tough, hard, fight. Whereas Mosley, we've seen him in countless fights like that. So that was probably a little bit hard to judge him by that. But I'm just looking at it as it is. That I think Mosley would be too strong, too fast, and just too solid for Spence. And I think he would win a unanimous decision as well. I don't think he'd stop him, because Mosley wasn't a massive puncher. He was more of an accumulation puncher. Although I'm sure Shannon Taylor would have tested differently when he dropped him with one shot. But but
as a lightweight, he was more puncher. He was a puncher. I mean, he was. He was a puncher. He did stop Fernando Vargas, Margarito, hurt Mayweather. So he was a puncher.
Yeah.
But nothing in Spence's armour. Nothing suggests Spence would get stopped. I mean, he hasn't been even.
Yeah, I agree.
So I think it's a good fight. I think it goes a distance, and I think five's 7-5, 8-4.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say exactly the same. I was going to say 8-4, 7-5. But either way, I think it'll be a unanimous decision for Shane Mosley. I just think, well, look, it would have been great to see the Spencers and Crawfords even, against a lot of these guys. So many we could put them in, put them against. But I think for in this instance, Shane Mosley, like Mayweather and De La Hoya and Cotto and a few of the Pacquiao, of course, before him. Just a level above the current day guys, I would think. So I'm with you, mate. I'm going with Shane Mosley by unanimous decision, and another great fight, mate. So it's back to me next week. I haven't had a real good think about who I'm going to go with yet, so I'm going to keep a surprise. But if you're out there and you've got a suggestion for a dream fight, make sure you let us know in the comments or direct message or whatever it might be. I'm sure everyone's got a fight out there they would love to see. And, as I said, let us know. So, Tassie, as always, mate, great to have you along. Thanks for joining in. Awesome tip, mate, or selection tonight. And, for once in a blue moon, we've actually come across the same result. So, again, thanks, mate, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, Lyndon.